Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. Welcome back. I'm Elaine Cha. For 37 years, Circus Flora has been dazzling audiences with its one-ring artistry, acrobatics, and creativity. Generations of rapt fans hold memories of shows performed under Circus Flora's big top tent, wherever it has stood. This year's season, called Undercover, opened yesterday with a peanut-free preview. An opening night is tomorrow, and the season continues through June 25th. Jack Marsh is Circus Flora's artistic director and executive director, and he joins us now to share how this beloved St. Louis institution will deliver ever more wonder and joys. Jack, welcome to St. Louis on the Air.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm going to take a step back and get to know you a little bit more. You're not new to the circus. You grew up with Circus Flora, and your mother is one of the co-founders of Circus Flora. What was it like growing up around circus performance and even being a performer since you were a tot?
Yeah, so Circus Flora was founded in 1986 by Ivor David Balding, and my mother, Cecil McKinnon, was among the cast members then, and since has been a performer and director. So I was about 2 years old then, and grew up around Circus Flora and on the back lot and among the performers and the creative team. And believe it or not, it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
You as a kid, you're seeing this kind of flow of what it is to put on a show and have the welcome an audience and do some incredible things and experience the kind of joy that it brings, and then wind down after a show and then gear up the next day for it. And it's a really beautiful rhythm to experience. I think as a lot of showbiz has that, but I think in the circus it has a special energy to have families and have the special kind of joy that Circus Flora can bring.
Yeah. And so being in that environment, you acquired your own circus talents, right? What is it that you boast sort of in your back pocket when it comes to the circus talents?
Well, growing up, I tumbled, did acrobatics, flips and whatnot, and also juggled. Both of them in sort of big group numbers within the cast of Circus Flora. I was an acrobat with the St. Louis Arches from Circus Harmony, and I was also a juggler, and we would do big group juggling acts. And I picked that up when I was, I think, 8 or so, and then started to get into it because you're a kid and you're seeing this world of performances backstage, and it's a very the sort of culture of circus is very generous and encouraging of anybody who shows an interest in something. Usually there's somebody who's happy to help you learn it and spot you or give you pointers. It's something that sort of grows its next generation very organically in a lot of cases.
Right. Now, you took a bit of a break from the circus to join a different sort of circus. You got your bachelor's in economics from Harvard University and worked on Wall Street. And then you went on to get your JD from the University of Wisconsin. There's the Go Badgers there.
Badgers.
What brought you back to the circus?
I think truly love of Circus Flora and of circus and really of Circus Flora's special brand of circus. When I went to law school and then spent a few years working for like a big law firm in New York, doing corporate law, and it was fine and well and good and helped me to pay off my student loans, which was nice. But at the same time, I was finding myself ducking out to go see any show that I possibly could in New York, theater and circus and dance and anything else. So I think that kind of put it back in my head that like, oh, right, the thing that is on my mind and that I want to be spending my time doing is showbiz and really is circus and theater and Circus Flora's special brand of circus and theater. And at the same time, David Balding was starting to think towards his eventual retirement and was wanting to have a succession plan for Circus Flora. And so I was visiting over the season and we started talking, and it just seemed like the right fit for Circus Flora and for myself personally.
So you've mentioned a couple of times, Circus Flora is not what many people think of when they think of circus. I mean, even for me as a child, I did go to Barnum and Bailey's, and I did not like it. What is different about Circus Flora in that context of what most people are familiar with?
I think a few things. I mean, Circus Flora has a unique take on circus. I mean, we for one, it's very intimate. So I think I don't know what your experience was necessarily, but I think going to larger venues where you're far from the action, I think there's something that's really special about coming to the Big Top in Grand Center to see Circus Flora, because you're always within 25 or 30 feet of the ring. The seating nearly surrounds the ring, so you're very much immersed in our world, and you feel this like visceral experience of seeing these incredible things that these performers are doing, how difficult it truly is, how few tricks and gimmicks there are, how it's really about like these amazing skills. So I think to come to Circus Flora is to really have this direct and up close experience. And then the other thing that I think differentiates us is we wrap our shows in a very particular brand of storytelling and theater. So every show has a theme and then a storyline that weaves all the circus acts within that theme. And it's often a little bit goofy and sort of a cartoonish sort of energy to our storytelling. It never takes ourselves too seriously. It's always fun and lighthearted. And so then all of these performers you've either gotten to know because they're characters within the story, or they're set up in this way that they're part of this storytelling. And I think it's a really unique and fun way to present what is at core a variety show. We have incredible circus acts, but to put it in this context alongside live music with live original music underscoring the show, all of it works really well in harmony to accentuate this this at core great circus acts.
Right. We're talking with Jack Marsh, who is the artistic and executive director of Circus Flora. And Jack actually walked to the station from the Big Top and rehearsal. You're checking your phone before the segment to make sure everything is all right while you're doing this interview. Now, you'd mentioned a story as being a big part, but before we get any further, I'm curious about the performers. So you talked about the very intimate setting that we're in, and Circus Flora attracts performers from all over the world and from right here too. Is that intimacy part of the reason people want to be part of Circus Flora?
I think that's a big part of it, and also the knowledge and reputation of Circus Flora nationally and internationally as a really lovely place to come and perform. So we go and scour the world for the best performers that we can, that we think will be a good fit in this show. And I think people are excited to come and spend their June in St. Louis at Circus Flora because they know that they'll be surrounded by fellow terrific performers putting on a really wonderful show. They also know that we have this great warm relationship with the St. Louis community and with our audience. We have programs like our Share the Circus program, where we partner with other nonprofits and give thousands of tickets to those nonprofits to help families from underserved communities be able to come to the Big Top. I think we try to make all these extra efforts to create a really warm and wonderful experience for our performers and for our audience. And I think it all just kind of builds on itself to create something really special. Mm-hmm.
And in the introduction I'd mentioned, there are generations of families who've come. In terms of the story, we're going to go back to that. What are some of the stories over the years that have been really popular and memorable for folks who have been coming to Circus Flora for many years now?
Stories within the shows that we've done. We try to make it a new genre and a new type of show every year. So we've had things like we had a mystery show called The Case of the Missing Bellhop a handful of years ago. Mm-hmm. We had a show that we had a lovely partnership with the Chess Hall of Fame for a show called The Pawn. We've had shows based on movies or literature. Last year's show was a ghost story through the underground caves in St. Louis. So we love to explore St. Louis specific stories when we can. We love to mine fun movie genres or television genres and put our performers in that context. So we find something that we think is going to really spark some fun creativity in our performers and our creative team, and then set them loose to really do some special stuff.
Yeah. So the newest season, this season, is Undercover. So that starts tomorrow and goes until June 25th. How did the peanut-free preview yesterday go?
It went really well. Well, so it's our first time having an audience for this brand new show that we're making. So it's our first point of feedback because it really is we're building this relationship with the audience. It's not here's the show and it must be this and we are presenting it. It's always let's try this, and then the audience picks up on that. So we certainly learned a lot from that, and we're implementing some changes today. But by and large, I would say it went great, and it's very clear that we have a terrific show this year for everyone to come to, and that's a really special audience as well. It's our peanut-free preview is one where we scrub down the big top from any residue of peanut products and allow those with peanut sensitivities to come see a circus, which they might not otherwise get to see. So we try to have these little extra steps to up the inclusivity of what we do.
Make it more accessible. That's wonderful. Now, I read about an act that involves a porcine performer and a very hairy act too. So can you give us a little bit about what those acts hold and what other delights Undercover has, without spoilers, of course? Sure.
I can spoil this, I think. There's the porcine performer you mentioned is named Shelley. And is a 700-pound pig who is extremely talented. It's the chief vocalist in the show, a wonderful singer, and performs along with a pack of 12 rescue dogs who are trained by Hans Close and Colleen Pages, and the act is called Hot Diggity Dog.
Okay.
No, sorry, Hog Diggity Dog.
Hog Diggity Dog. Okay.
And they're terrific, and they brought down the house last night, and it's just such a fun, boisterous energy of these animals.
Yeah, and then there's also one that involves someone using her own hair?
Yeah, Laura Lippert, who's a St. Louis native, is a hair hang aerialist. So she's an artist who and this is again, there's no trick or gimmick. She is hung by her hair and swings and does acrobatics and contortion while hung from and swinging by her hair. It's incredible, and there's a lot of discussion about what her hair care regime is.
Yes, I wonder about that, and scalp care too.
Yep.
What is another one of these acts that maybe is a little bit different from what seasoned Circus Flora goers are accustomed to?
There's a lot of new acts in this show that even if you've been to Circus Flora in past years, it will feel extremely new and really wonderful. I'll try to get everyone in while we still have time, but there's Roberto Carlos is one of the best jugglers in the world. He's comes from Monterrey, Mexico. He is a world record holder and can juggle 7 ping pong balls with his mouth.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
There's a husband and wife duo named Mr. and Mrs. G, and they perform a crossbow act where they shoot crossbows near each other but not quite at each other. And they think William Tell. She puts an apple on her head and he can shoot it off.
Okay,
It's
and then
incredible to see.
maintain marital harmony at the same time.
Yes, it's an important part of it. I think otherwise the act doesn't go well. There is something that closes the show called the Globe of Speed, where first one, then two, then three motorcycles spin around this giant metal globe that comes into the center of the ring. It's really this impressive structure that comes in, and then just the most thrilling thing that happens in it. It's a stunning closer that I think our audience last night was in awe.
Really wild. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing. And then we have the show is largely centered around our three comedic performers, our three clowns, Jan Dam, Brett Alters, and Tyler West, and they're terrific in their own right and central characters of the show. But they also combine to do an act called the Human Fountains, which is it's a water spitting act where they spit water in formations and at each other. It's hard to do it justice, but it's totally incredible. They were just on America's Got Talent recently doing this and making it really like as it was really unlikely how far they made it for spitting water. This very goofy skill, but it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. So I'm imagining that some of these things you would not want kids to try at home. But over the years, have there been people who've come into Circus Flora who grew up watching other performers and now like they're part of it in a very special way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have a really wonderful partnership with Circus Harmony, who trains and performs at the City Museum, and they have classes as well. So there's a lot of performers who I think go through that program and sort of reach its heights, which is the St. Louis Arches. They're sort of top tier youth tumbling troupe who performs in Circus Flora. So I think for kids who grow up seeing Circus Flora, there's a way to become a part of it through that program, and it's really nice to see that, because I think it's so exciting to and I think just as an audience member, or you see your kid experiencing this, wanting to do it, wanting to know how to do these things, and then for some of them coming through the ranks and being part of Circus Flora is really special.
Okay. I'll make it a point to come through this year.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens with my child. He fancies himself an acrobat ninja. I don't know what's going to happen after we watch. Jack Marsh is the artistic and executive director of Circus Flora. Jack, thanks for making time to come and talk with us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Tickets to Circus Flora's Undercover are on sale now, and prices begin at just $15. You can claim your spot at the Big Top in Grand Center by visiting circusflora.org.
This episode was produced by Maya Norfleet.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Our podcast proudly supports St. Louis artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.